The sound of gold coins forced between teeth. You hear the crack, then another, then screaming. You're standing in the throne room of Baghdad. February 1258, the richest city on earth. The man on his knees in front of you is the Caliph, the leader of Islam, 36 years on the throne. The man who believed God made him untouchable. Now he's choking on his own treasury, blood and metal pouring from his mouth, while Mongol generals laugh and shove more gold down his throat. In the next room, you hear it, the sound of horses' hooves on marble, then screaming, then nothing. His sons were wrapped in carpets, trampled one by one. His daughters were dragged outside. Their screams lasted hours. 800 years of dynasty. The capital of human knowledge. The wealthiest city on the planet. Erased in 7 days. And what they did to this family is what history decided you weren't supposed to know until now. And this is Crown and Dagger. And this is what really happened. If these stories matter to you, support with a like and subscribe. So, how does a man end up choking on his own gold while his sons are crushed in the next room? It starts with a laugh. September 1257. A letter arrives at the case court. Al-Mustasim reads it in front of his advisors. His face doesn't change. Then he laughs. These barbarians don't know who they're speaking to. That laugh would cost him everything. Al-Muslim wasn't just any king. He was a caliphate, the successor to Muhammad himself, the spiritual authority over millions of Muslims, a title stretching back 37 generations. And Baghdad wasn't just any city. For 500 years, this was the center of human knowledge. The House of Wisdom held texts that would take 3 lifetimes to read. Scholars travel from Spain to Samarkand just to study here. Population over 1 million, the wealthiest city on earth, and the Caliph believed it was untouchable. The letter from Hulaguin had been simple. You have heard what befell the cities of Persia. Submit or learn what the others learned. The Caliph's vizier begged him to reconsider. These are not raiders. This is a machine. The Khwarezmian Empire had 400,000 soldiers, all gone. Nishaper had walls 30 feet thick, erased. We cannot fight them. We can only survive them. The Caliph waved his hand. We are the Caliphate. We do not submit to horsemen. And then he did nothing. He didn't prepare. He didn't pay for defenses. He didn't open his treasury. That treasury. Rooms filled with gold, silver, jewels. Wealth that could have bought the largest army in the world. Instead, it sat in the dark untouched while the storm gathered. 5 months later, 150,000 Mongols surrounded Baghdad. The walls fell. The Caliph sent a message. I will surrender. Spare the city. Hulagu's response. Present yourself at my camp. Bring your family. 36 years on the throne, and he walked into that camp with his sons and daughters like lambs. What would you have done? Tell me in the comments. February 13th, 1258, Al-Mustasim walked out of Baghdad. He brought his 3 sons, his 3 daughters, 3,000 members of the court, ministers, scholars, generals, all unarmed. Mongol guards flanked him immediately, silent, watching. The procession moved through the Mongol camp. Thousands of soldiers observed. No insults, no violence, just eyes everywhere. Hulagu received the Caliph in his command tent. His first question was practical. Where is your treasury? The Caliph hesitated. We are prepared to offer tribute. Where is it? Soldiers were sent. They returned hours later. The look on their faces said everything. Gold ingots, thousands, silver coins in countless chests. Jewels accumulated over 800 years. Silk enough to clothe an army. All sitting there untouched, while the walls crumbled, while soldiers went unpaid, while the city prepared for nothing. Hulagu ordered the Caliph taken to his own treasury, back into Baghdad, through streets now controlled by Mongol soldiers, past buildings beginning to burn, to his own vault. The doors were open. Hulagu walked him through room by room, vault by vault, no words. But the question filled the silence. Why was this here while your walls crumbled? Why was this locked away while your soldiers starved? Why did you protect gold instead of your people? The Caliph had no answer. Hulagu nodded slowly. You love this more than your empire, more than your army, more than your family. He paused. Now you will taste it. What happened next was recorded by the Persian historian Rashid Allen. The caliph was forced to his knees in his own treasury, surrounded by the gold he'd hoarded while his city burned. Mongol soldiers grabbed his jaw, forced it open, and began shoving gold coins into his mouth. One by one, the caliph tried to spit them out. They held his mouth shut, pushed more in. His teeth cracked against the metal. His gums split. Blood. They were dragged into the treasury. Chains on their wrists, terror in their eyes. And then they saw their father on the floor, blood and gold on his lips, barely breathing. The most powerful man they had ever known, reduced to a broken thing gasping in the corner. Prince Mubarak tried to run to him. Mongol guards slammed him back. Father, no response. The caliph's eyes were open, but there was nothing behind them anymore. Halaku stepped forward. He looked at the three boys the way a butcher examines livestock before the blade. Where's your God now? Silence. The kind of silence that fills a room when hope leaves it. Prince Mubarak stepped forward. Maybe it was courage. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was the last reflex of a prince who had never learned to kneel. Allah will punish you for this. Hulagu didn't laugh, didn't mock. He just nodded slowly like a teacher acknowledging a student's final answer, then gave a quiet command. The Mongols followed ancient beliefs. Royal blood must never touch the ground. Spilling it directly brings cosmic imbalance, bad fortune for generations. So, when they needed to execute nobility, they had developed another method. The carpet guard sees Prince Mubarak first, the eldest, the heir. He fought. Of course he fought. He was 23 years old and watching his world collapse. But there were too many hands, too many soldiers. They threw him to the ground, unrolled a heavy Persian rug, and began wrapping him inside it, layer after layer, tighter and tighter, until he couldn't move his arms, couldn't move his legs, couldn't turn his head, could barely breathe. His voice, muffled inside the wool, rose into desperate cries. Father, father, help me. The caliph didn't move. Please, someone, anyone. The carpet was laid flat on the cold marble floor. Mongol horsemen brought their war horses forward. Massive animals trained for battle, each one weighing more than 5 men. And they rode over the carpet. The sound, Rashid Aline described it as wood, breaking. But that's not quite right. It was wetter, deeper, the sound of something that was meant to be whole becoming something that wasn't. They rode over him again and again. Inside the carpet, the cries changed. First desperate, then agonized, then just sounds. Animal sounds that didn't belong to a human anymore. Then nothing. The caliph watched everything. His firstborn son, the boy he had raised to be caliph, the heir to 800 years of dynasty, crushed under horse hooves while wrapped in a rug. He didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't move. There was nothing left inside him that remembered how. Prince Ahmed was next, 21 years old, the scholar, the poet. He didn't fight when they grabbed him. He had just watched his older brother die. He knew what was coming. They wrapped him the same way, tight, suffocating. As they laid the carpet down, he screamed one word over and over. Father, father, father. The horses came. The screaming stopped. The caliph still didn't move. His eyes were open, but seeing nothing. His mind had gone somewhere far away. Somewhere these sounds couldn't reach him. Then they grabbed Prince Ali, 14 years old, the youngest, the baby of the family. He didn't try to be brave. He didn't curse Hulagu. He didn't invoke Allah. He just cried. Great heaving sobs that shook his entire body. Tears streaming down his face. Snot running from his nose. Every wall of princely dignity completely collapsed. Please, please. I don't want to die. Please. He called for his father, called for his mother, called for his brothers who were already gone, called for anyone who might save him. No one answered. The guards wrapped him tighter than the others. His small body almost disappeared inside the heavy rug. Just a tiny bump in the carpet, easy to miss. The horses came. The sound was different this time. Quieter. Smaller bones break with less noise. It was over faster. When they rolled the 3 carpets aside, dark stains had spread across the white marble floor. 3 stains, 3 sons, 3 futures erased. Hulagu turned to the caliph. The old man hadn't moved, hadn't spoken. His eyes stared at the stains on the floor like he was trying to solve a puzzle that would never make sense. Your sons are gone. Your dynasty ends here. Hulagu paused. But we're not. Zab looked back one last time at her father, at her baby sister, at the stains on the floor that used to be her brother's. Her eyes met Aisha's. In that look was everything. Every memory of their childhood, every moment in the gardens, every night their mother had tucked them in, every dream of the futures they would never have. Then she was gone through the door into the Mongol camp, into a life that would be unrecognizable. The sisters were handed to commanders. Reward for loyal service, split up, sent in different directions. They never saw each other again. A document found centuries later in the archives of Ulaanbaatar mentions 2 Arab women of high birth given to General Keter after the fall of Baghdad. That's all. No names, no ages, no description of what happened to them. Just given like furniture, like horses, like things. There are no records of their deaths, no graves, no children documented, no trace that they ever existed beyond that single line in a Mongol inventory. They don't die in history. They just stop existing. But Aisha, the youngest, 12 years old, Hulagu kept her. He pulled her away from her father's body. She fought, kicked, screamed, but she was 12, and he was a man who had conquered half the world. He kept her as a symbol, proof that even the cave's blood could be bent into Mongol shape. Over the following months, he stripped away everything she was, made her wear Mongol clothing, made her speak their language, made her forget Baghdad. Decades later, a Persian writer met an old woman in Debris who claimed to be Princess Aisha. She was 80 years old. Her back bent like a bow. Her voice cracked and broken. Her Arabic fractured with strange Mongol sounds. She barely remembered Baghdad. The gardens had faded. The palace was just shapes. Her mother's face was gone completely. But she remembered that night. She remembered the sound of carpets made when the horses passed over them. The wet crack that meant her brothers were gone. She remembered her sisters being dragged away, their screams fading into the distance. She remembered holding her father and him not responding, his eyes open but empty like he had already left his body behind. And she remembered Hulagu leaning close, his breath on her ear, whispering something only she could hear. You are the last. Your line ends with you. The writer asked her what she thought of those words now after all these years. She looked at him with eyes that had seen too much and felt too little for far too long. He was right. That was all she said. He was right. 70 years of exile. 70 years of carrying the ashes of her family inside her chest. And in the end, she had to admit that the man who destroyed everything was right. She was the last. And when she died, there would be nothing left. Back in the treasury, the Caliph still breathed, his body destroyed from the gold, his mind shattered from watching his children, his sons crushed, his daughters taken, everything gone, everything he built, everything he protected, everything he had loved, reduced to blood and stains and silence. And still, Hulagu did not kill him because the death had to mean something. It had to echo through history. It had to become a story that would terrify kings for generations. He ordered the cave wrapped in a carpet like his sons, tight, suffocating, but no horses came. Instead, the Mongols built a wooden platform above him and held a feast. Hulagu and his generals sat directly over the bundled caliphate, eating, drinking, laughing, celebrating their victory, while the man beneath them slowly suffocated. Every movement pressed the carpet tighter. Every burst of laughter stole air from his lungs. Every toast celebrated the end of his bloodline. The feast lasted all night. When morning came, they rolled the carpet open. The caliph's face was purple, eyes open. No wound, no blood, just a frozen proof of suffocation. The man who had laughed at Hulagu's letter. The man who had trusted his title to protect him. The man who had loved gold more than his people. Dead on the floor of his own treasury. 800 years of the Abbasid dynasty, 37 generations, ended in one night. The horror didn't stop at the treasury. Baghdad was dismantled systematically, building by building. The House of Wisdom, the greatest library in the world. Centuries of human knowledge burned. Books thrown into the Tigris River. So many that the water ran black with ink. A scholar named Ibn al-Fawadi survived by hiding in a well for 3 days. When he crawled out, Baghdad was silent. The streets were covered with bodies. Dogs ate the dead because there was no one left to bury them. Gone. But here's the thing. The Mongols didn't destroy Baghdad to erase it. They destroyed it so everyone would remember. Within weeks, the story reached Damascus. Within months, Cairo. Within a year, every king from Turkey to India knew exactly what happened, and exactly what happened to a man who thought his title protected him.